Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered, behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome to the Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the reality of running a business after 50. I'm your host, Suzy Rosenstein, and today, as hard as it is to believe, this is episode 138. And today's episode is a little different. I have an announcement today. I'm going to be pausing this podcast for the next few months. As you may know, I host two podcasts. This is the sister podcast to my original Women in the Middle Loving Life After 50 show. And in order to be able to produce both shows, I have to record many episodes in advance. So until I do that again, there will be a pause. I will continue to promote the amazing episodes we've done together, though, so there will be a ton of interviews out there to enjoy and be inspired by you. You will not run out between the two podcasts that's over 550 episodes, so I can keep you very busy. Now, this decision to pause inspired me to reflect on where we've been together and what we've learned. So to that end, I wanted to record a solo episode that really names what I see getting in the way for so many midlife women entrepreneurs, especially women who are smart, capable, committed, and genuinely want to run their business in a way that feels right for this stage of life. Now, when I say getting in the way, what I'm talking about is what midlife challenges get in the way of you running your business the way you want to. Like what comes up in midlife that actually gets in the way. Because if running your business feels harder than you expected right now at your age and stage of life, even though you have way more experience and wisdom than ever before, I want you to know something right away. You're not imagining it. What's happening is not only about you and your particular challenge. There's also a bigger context that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. I know it's so easy that you think it's you, right? It's so easy to think that you're doing something wrong, that it should be easier than it is. That's not the whole picture. So this episode is about understanding the conditions you're operating in the chapter you're in at this age and stage. So here's the big idea I want to start with. Entrepreneurship runs on energy, focus, decision-making, and emotional bandwidth. And midlife is the stage where all of those are being challenged at the same time. I think you get what I'm saying. It's kind of a convergence point. Now, I asked AI to help with a definition of this concept of convergence, and there was a definition there, midlife convergence point. It's the intense period of middle adulthood, typically 40 to 60, where a variety of biological, psychological, and social factors collide, prompting deep reflection and reevaluation of one's life. Now, you may know the experience as a midlife crisis, or what I tend to use, midlife transition. It may prompt a wake-up call kind of situation. Whatever you call it, it's different, it's notable, and it can also feel pivotal. Your body is changing, your family roles are changing, your relationships are changing, your sense of time is changing. And your business? Your business still expects you to show up, decide, create, market, sell, and lead, and stay on top of and learn technology. Technology has come up so much in the podcast. So when things feel heavier, slower, or more complicated than you thought they'd be by now, it's not a motivation problem, it's not a confidence problem, it's not a discipline problem. My friend, it can be a capacity problem, and capacity is shaped by real life. So let's start with menopause first, because it sits underneath so much of this. Menopause isn't just hot flashes. I've done lots of episodes about menopause in both podcasts. For many women, it means disrupted sleep, persistent fatigue, tiredness, brain fog, difficulty concentrating or finding words. And I personally love when this happens to me in the middle of interviewing a guest for this show, because that's embarrassing. And there's tons of emotional ups and downs. There's so many more symptoms of menopause. I'm just naming a few, but here's what matters for entrepreneurs. Sleep, focus, memory, emotional regulation. Those are all foundational to running a business. When your sleep is off, everything costs more energy. When your brain feels foggy, decisions can take longer. When you feel tired, fatigued, confidence can wobble, even if nothing is actually wrong. This is not about being weak or less than. It's about biology. And because entrepreneurship doesn't come with sick days, HR departments, or formal accommodations unless you're running a big show, many women just quietly push through and then wonder why they feel behind or discouraged, or even like there's something wrong with them, that they should have things more under control. This doesn't mean you can't run a business in midlife, not at all. It just means that the way you run it may need to change. And that, my friend, is what I call your midlife operating system. Now, episode 305 in my other show, the Women in the Middle Loving Life After 50 podcast, is all about this. In that episode, I explained that I think your old operating system is so much a part of your mindset, the way you used to do things, the way you expected to do things. And I have a feeling you can relate to this. You're essentially running your life by a lot of old thinking that you became familiar with when you grew up in the 60s, 70s, something like that. And you thought it was the best way to live and to thrive. And now in midlife, a lot of the way we think has been going on for decades. So I'm 62 at the time of this recording. I want to share a personal story. And my story is about bedtime and sleep for this category, or lack thereof. I noticed that as an entrepreneur now since 2015, I have really enjoyed staying up late, like in an odd way. This is new for me. I had never been like this in the early days, even through grad school, never pulled an all-nighter or anything. But now, I loved staying up late until 1 to 2 in the morning, pretty regularly, and this went on for years. So did my husband telling me about my snoring. In general, my energy was pretty good, even though I denied having a problem. But eventually, I did notice a big dip late in the afternoon. And as a midlife coach who focuses on mindfulness, I started to get pretty curious about why I was making this choice. Because I wasn't anywhere close to getting 7 to 8 hours on average. It was more in the 5-hour range. Not so good. And what I discovered surprised me. First, I noticed I got pretty creative and loved to write late at night. I don't know, I was kind of thinking that's a good thing. But if that wasn't weird enough, then I discovered this thought: nobody bugs me at this hour. Wow, when's the last time anybody was bugging me at that hour? Probably when my 3 sons were babies. They are pretty close in age, 3 kids in 3.5 years. And back in the day, it was hard to find time when nobody needed anything. Late at night, there was usually a few guaranteed hours. My babies, though, are now in their late 20s and early 30s. Why am I still thinking this thought? It wasn't serving me at this age and stage for sure. I mean, there are other reasons I wasn't getting sleep, too. I was fighting with my body and mind because I certainly didn't have the capacity to do what I wanted to do overall, right, with this little sleep. Also on the sleep topic, the other thing that hit hard happened when I turned 60. So I had already been in menopause for about a decade, a little less than a decade. I was ready to take my health even more seriously. I started wearing an Oura ring, O-U-R-A. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it tracks a lot of things going on in your body. Specifically, I wanted the sleep statistics. And then when I went for my physical when I turned 60, my doctor asked me if I snored. And I said yes, and she suggested a sleep study. Finally, I said yes. And guess what? I had severe apnea. And now I am rocking my CPAP like all the other cool midlife gals in the same boat. I'm also rocking drastically improved sleep statistics related to oxygen saturation and breathing regularity, and I am continuing to work on getting more sleep. It's a big deal at this age. Not only did I start to feel that my sleep hygiene needed work, but I also started to notice it firsthand. My resistance to the CPAP made no sense. Turning 60 helped me to be open to more of this, right? These kinds of changes that I had to make. But quite frankly, so did watching my late sister Stephanie's journey with malignant melanoma. So I saw what she had to do during this same time frame to try to reclaim her health. And all I had to do was to work on my wonky mindset and wear CPAP. I decided I had to do something now that I was on the other side of menopause. It was just screaming at me that it was time to take action and really manage myself better. My intentional midlife operating system needed more Z's. Okay, now here's another truth that deserves more airtime. Midlife stacks transitions and demands on your energy. It's not just one thing happening at a time. Podcast guest after podcast guest talked about this. You may be navigating all kinds of things like hormonal changes, identity shifts, like who am I now at this age running a business, or who do I want to be if I cut back, those kinds of things. Maybe changing parenting roles with adult children and what that means for you at work. Maybe caregiving responsibilities with senior parents and sometimes grandchildren and what that means when you're an entrepreneur. Perhaps changing friendships and relationships with your availability as you gear up, but others gear down. The demands of technology, we can't forget that. Updates, automated systems, learning new stuff, trying new things. Oh my gosh, so much. And business growth or reinvention now in a few years and when most of your friends have retired. All that stuff, so much. Each one can be manageable on its own, but together, they drain energy fast. This is not the season for pretending you have the same capacity you did at 40. I mean, you might, but it might be pretending. Or that you want to have the same capacity at this age and stage either. It is the season, though, for realistic expectations, intentional schedules, smarter design, and fewer assumptions about what you should be able to do, or what you should be doing, or what you need. What you realistically need to do the things that you really want to do. You don't need more hustle. You do, though, need a business that fits the real and intentional constraints of your life right now. Emphasis on the word intentional, too, because you really have to pay attention to what it is that you want now at this age and stage. Okay, here's another topic I heard a lot about on this show, and I just mentioned it very briefly. For sure, it doesn't get talked about enough. It's what happens when your partner or friends are gearing down and you're gearing up. You are not gearing down. You are excited. You're actually potentially more excited and jazzed about work than ever before. Entrepreneurship can be this way. It is so much fun and loaded with meaning and fulfillment. So this often shows up when a partner is retiring or talking about slowing down. Friends have more leisure time. Social rhythms change, like with everything from friends becoming divorced, widowed, people downsizing, people moving, like all kinds of stuff is going on. And you might be thinking, hey, I'm just getting started. Or I finally know what I want. I'm excited. Or maybe I really am focused on legacy right now. I want to build something meaningful. You're happy and busy, just loving being an entrepreneur. You're on fire, and that mismatch can create maybe guilt, tension, second guessing, maybe some pressure to slow down before you're ready, and maybe just being unavailable, like unavailable for vacations sometimes when traveling with those who are more flexible and perhaps retired. Your business doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists inside relationships. And while life rhythms change inside a household or a friend group, it can really be weird. It can be deeply unsettling, even though everybody means well. There's nothing selfish about wanting to build something in this chapter. It's a valid choice, even if it's not mirrored by the people around you. And the other thing that's not selfish is wanting to go on vacation with people who love you. That's always fun. So the pressure can mount. It can come up when your retired spouse is dreaming of a certain kind of vacation. Maybe you've even talked about it for years, like typically a more extended type of trip, or maybe the timing for a trip just isn't good. But it just, I don't know, it's a bummer when it's just too difficult to accommodate. Or maybe your friends. Let's take those retired friends. They've got great ideas, so excited, so much fun. And as more and more of them retire, and believe me, if you're on Facebook, you can see these retirement notices everywhere, you may be invited on more trips with the gals. How available are you for this kind of thing? Personally, I have a long-term friend group, very close friends. We've been hanging for 30 years, and I'm the only one in the group right now who's still working. And these ladies are active doing exciting things. Oh my God, I want to do everything. So there's no pressure for me, but it's obvious that our goals are different right now. I definitely feel different and less available also for get-togethers. like on weeknights. That is very difficult because people live all over. It's more of a production to get together now. So being less available is definitely part of the picture with that group now. Now, let's dig into this other topic, caregiving. Again, we mentioned it briefly, but for many women in midlife, caregiving becomes a parallel life. Caring for aging parents or in-laws often means managing appointments, travel, coordinating logistics, emotional labor, constant mental tracking, learning all of the ins and outs related to the senior parent's diagnoses, treatment, accommodation options, all these unpredictable demands, working out arrangements and responsibilities with siblings, all of this stuff, it's a ton of bandwidth and time. Caregiving is not a side task. I mean, you might be able to work remotely, but it can go on for months. It can go on for years. All situations are different, but there's just so much to manage there. It's basically a second unpaid job that runs alongside your business for an undetermined amount of time. And it can be so draining and so sad, and your emotions can be all over the place. So here's what I want to say clearly. If your business growth has slowed during a caregiving season, that doesn't mean you lack ambition. It means your priorities are human. Your priorities are family. You're showing up as the daughter, for example, you want to be on purpose so that you don't have regrets. Entrepreneurship advice often assumes uninterrupted focus and consistent availability. Caregiving makes that assumption unrealistic, to say the least. And yet many women quietly judge themselves for not keeping up. We are so mean to ourselves. So my friend, you are not behind. You are carrying more. It is a lot. It is a lot. Now let's talk about grandparent guilt and role expectations. I know you may not be a grandparent yet. I am not. I am not one yet. But for some women, this stage also brings grandparenting, or at least the expectation of availability. So several women on the show have talked about this. Even when help is optional, many women feel pressure to say yes, to be present, to fill gaps, to keep the family running smoothly. Just because you can help doesn't mean you're responsible for holding the entire family infrastructure. Every time you say yes at home is a no somewhere else. And it's often a no to rest, to be creative, or to do that kind of thinking on the business rather than in the business, the strategic thinking. So when you say yes, what are you saying no to? And these kinds of things aren't luxuries. They're essentials for sustaining entrepreneurship. Your adult children may have expectations for you as a grandma that you decide you just can't meet. So when it comes to you creating an intentional schedule, what does this look like for you? Are you able to say no? Do you feel grandparent guilt? What do you want on purpose? How can you balance this? So this is something that comes up and it's real. So when you zoom out, here's what I think is really happening. We are expecting midlife women entrepreneurs to build businesses as if they have no changing body or hormones, no family responsibilities, no caregiving load, no history, and unlimited energy. That expectation does not match reality. Maybe it worked better in your old operating system of life, but it doesn't fly in your midlife operating system. The problem isn't midlife women entrepreneurs. The problem is outdated assumptions about capacity, success, and growth. Remember, we grew up with the women's lib movement. We got lots of messages from our parents, families, TV sitcoms, movies, comic books about what we should be doing at this age, both during and after this time of great change for women. It was a crazy time. I did this recently, even before getting ready for this episode. Just look back on the women's lib movement. It's amazing that most of us lived through that as children. The women's movement has been defined as a political and social movement. It was collective activity by women aimed at improving their status in society. It was in the 60s and 70s, basically advocating for women's equality and challenging patriarchal ideologies. I don't know what memories you have of this. I remember Gloria Steinem. And I don't know what you remember. It's fun to think about it, and then it is worth it to look it up and just get refreshed to see how far we've come. but to also just think about messages. So in my interviews on this show, it seems pretty clear that this stage of life calls for a different definition of success, one that is honest, sustainable, aligned with what we want on purpose, which is individual, and midlife season aware, which is what I like to call having age and stage awareness. So what do we want now, today? And we're not there yet as a society, but we can get there one midlife gal at a time. It may not be what you expected growing up. It starts with awareness of what you want now at your age as a midlife woman who's an entrepreneur and loving it and doesn't want to allow the common midlife issues and challenges get in the way of her running her business and her life in a way that lights her up and is in keeping with her priorities. So that's it. Age and stage awareness. We are not the same as we were when we were 30 or the way we were when we were 40. And I can even see now, being 62, that I'm not the same as I was when I was 50. So checking in with yourself and really thinking about what you want now is something we have to constantly do. And just because we can do something doesn't mean we want to do something. Just remember that. So before I close, I want to leave you with 3 things that I hope you remember. First, nothing is wrong with you if you skipped a beat or 2 when faced with these kinds of midlife hiccups and challenges. Your constraints are real and shared. You are not alone. Second, your business needs to fit your life now, not a past version of you. This means that you need to get super clear on what you want and be curious about what is available and needed to help you support those goals. And that might be technology. And third, clarity in midlife often comes from subtraction, not expansion. Oh my gosh. Think about this. I have heard this message in so many ways over the last few weeks. It is so good. I have a feeling it resonated with you too. Doing less with more depth is usually a very good thing. So what does that mean to you? As for this podcast, I'm choosing to pause it intentionally because I believe in modeling thoughtful, aligned decisions, even when they're not permanent or fully defined. This message still matters. You still matter, and you're not meant to do this chapter by pretending you're someone you're not anymore. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful that you're a listener. And wherever you are in your business right now, I hope you stop measuring yourself against unrealistic standards and start designing something that respects the woman you are today. All right, that is it for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share with your entrepreneurial friends. Sharing is caring. Thanks so much for listening. It is never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick, before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with the show and are finally ready to make some changes to regret-proof your life, I want to invite you to apply for the Women in the Middle Academy. It's my transformational midlife group coaching program to help you get clear about what's getting in your way so you can get on with the good stuff. Head over to www.womeninthemiddleacademy.com. Talk soon.